Hi there, welcome back to Joshua chapter 9. After the Gibeonites have deceived the people of Israel, it says at verse 18, second half verse 18, the people of Israel grumbled against their leaders because of the treaty. So they complained to their leadership because they felt that they should not be making a treaty with the Gibeonites. But the leaders replied, verse 19, since we have sworn an oath in the presence of the Lord, the God of Israel, we cannot touch them. In other words, we cannot have retribution, make retribution against the Gibeonites. This is what we must do. We must let them live. For divine anger would come upon us if we broke our oath. Let them live. So they made them woodcutters and water carriers for the entire community as the Israelite leaders directed. So the Israelite leaders made a bad decision because they did not consult God. Having concluded themselves that they had made a bad decision, having that truth reinforced by the people who pointed out to the leaders that they'd made a bad decision, nevertheless, they stuck to their word. See, one of the things that they didn't like about what the Gibeonites had done was that the Gibeonites had broken their word. The Israelite leaders were in danger, if they weren't careful, of doing just the same thing. And it goes to show how fickle we can be as people. We can have a particular view, and that view can be very correct. And therefore we can criticize others who don't follow that particular path. And yet we can so easily be in danger of replicating that mistake in our own lives. It's a little bit like that saying, those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. I always remember as a child playing cricket in the garden, and the gardens and the houses we play with are fairly small, and it was quite easy for the ball to go over the hedge, even if it was just a tennis ball. A tennis ball could also break a greenhouse, we found. And when the ball went over the hedge because someone had given it a good old swipe with a cricket bat, it was always 6 runs, but 6 and out, we used to say, because sometimes the ball never came back, sometimes retribution came back. And it's easy in those situations to break glass that you never intended to do. And that's the idea in that saying, isn't it? Those who live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. If you throw stones at people, things might be damaged in their lives. But equally, if we live in similarly fragile lives, our lives can be damaged too. Well, God doesn't want us to pay back evil for evil. He wants us to give good for evil. Counterintuitive, most likely. Difficult, frequently. But God's way, always. And it's the counterintuitive, it's the coming with a different spirit that God wants us to really champion as we follow Jesus. If we're Jesus followers, we are a subversive movement. It's one of the reasons that I've been bemused by this notion that England or UK was a Christian nation. I'm not sure that it's possible to have a Christian nation. And if there is, what it looks like, and whether we were ever one or not, I don't know. I think unlikely, because true faith in Jesus is always a subversive movement coming up from underneath, not being imposed from on high. So we have, as a subversive organisation, as a group of people who follow Jesus, this ability to pay back good for evil. And to be that, like the Israelite leaders in this case, who, although they made a mistake, were true to their word. Let's be men and women who are true to the word that God puts in us and then we express to other people.